So because this is going to tie almost directly with what we're talking about today, I'm going to be doing a shark card giveaway. That's going to be happening on my Twitter. I'm going to be handing out $1.25 million to one lucky viewer right now. So all you have to do is go down in the description. I'll have the tweet linked there. You can check it out. It's pretty simple. One of you guys are going to be walking away $1.25 million richer, which will hopefully help you fund some of the new items that have arrived today in Grand Theft Auto Online. And that's what we're going to be talking about right now. I'm going to be giving you guys my buyer beware, as well as some speed test performance reviews for the Shotaro Tron bike, as well as all of the new content that was added into the game. So before we jump into that, let's talk about the buyer beware. And we've got to start out with the price, because that's going to be the first barrier to buying this bike. And it's pretty expensive. Now, it's not as expensive as we thought, which is kind of weird because Rockstar actually went into the coding of the game and changed the price. Before it was $2.375 million. Now it is $2.225 million. So they gave you about a 6% discount right there. I'm not sure what the point of that was. Maybe Rockstar was feeling generous. Maybe they just wanted to get it to a more round number of $2.225 million. I have absolutely no clue, but that is a pretty steep price. It's coming in at over 2 times more the most expensive other bike in the game, the Hakuchu Drag. So it's on a level of its own. It's more expensive than a majority of the supercars in the game, which is obviously no small investment. Anytime you reach the millions, you're obviously talking about a pretty crazy vehicle. And then when you eclipse that 2 million mark, you're into pretty elite territory. So that's probably the biggest hurdle here is the price of the Shotaro. Very, very expensive. And even the outfits that go along with it as well are very expensive as well. Each one of those are going to be $200,000 and there's 8 total colors. So if we just do some simple math, 200,000 times 8 is $1.6 million. So in total, that means that you're going to have to spend $3.825 million if you want every single bit of content from this Tunables update. And that doesn't include any of the upgrades that you're likely going to do in the Los Santos custom shop, which is kind of a great segue to customization of this bike. How is the customization? It's a little lackluster, to say the least. Obviously, that's not going to be the big part of this bike, but the only thing you can do is remove the wheel mudguards, which kind of gives it a sleeker look. It also does take away some of the glow that you can apply to this bike. So I'm not really sure if I recommend them off or on. It really just depends on your personal taste. But even still, as far as upgrading the bike to get it fully armored, to get it, turbo, to upgrade engine and transmission, brakes, that's going to eclipse you over the $4 million mark. And when it comes to modifying the wheels and changing the paint job to get the correct glow and look you want, you're definitely going to be over $4 million if you buy all the different outfits and if you purchase and then basically fully upgrade the Shotaro. So lots and lots of money that is going to be spent here if you want to capitalize and take advantage of everything from this update. So that right there is the price and the customization. Now what we need to do is talk about the performance of this bike, because for many of us, that is going to be one of the big selling features is it going to be able to perform against some of the other bikes that were added into the game? So you guys are going to see me do a couple of tests right here. One of them is going to be a drag test. Another is just going to be taking it around kind of a circuit, testing it out a little bit. So let's talk about the Shotaro performance-wise. Now, this is important. The Shotaro has become the fastest bike in the game. But I do not want that information to deceive you. Even though the Shotaro has become the fastest bike in the game, it is only the fastest by a fraction of a second. So keep that in mind. It is nearly 100% identical to the Hakuchu Drag, which is the fastest bike in the game, yet its price tag is nearly 2 times more, over 2 times more, I should say. So that is rather interesting. It becomes the fastest bike in the game, the Shotaro, but at what price? And that is where I see the issue here. Now, one thing you probably have noticed right off the bat here is the Shotaro is slower than the Hakuchu Drag in a straight line. You can see the drag test I'm doing right now. There is a clear difference. The Hakuchu Drag is going to be faster than the Shotaro in a straight line. So that is very, very interesting right there. In straightaways, you're not going to see an advantage at all. Where you are going to see an advantage with the Shotaro is its acceleration and its handling. This thing handles like a dime. It takes corners so awesome, and that's where I think you're really going to see an advantage in racing over something like the Akachu Drag. It has lightning quick acceleration. Again, it takes corners as smooth as glass, and that's one of the best features I really like about that. Now, you might love the Akachu Drag, but turning is something that I kind of struggle with that bike, so I don't really necessarily use it all that often. I would much rather use something like the Shotaro. So at the end of the day, it's going to come down to your feel and your preference here, but those are some of the differences. Hakachu Drag, better top speed. Shotaro, better acceleration, and in my opinion, a little bit better handling. So another difference with this bike is that there is no difference between wheeling or leaning back. We know on the Hakachu Drag, if you lean forward, you will get a speed boost. On this bike, there isn't one. I did a very, very rough test of that in single player about a week ago, and I noticed that there was maybe a mile-per-hour difference, but that could have been, of course, within the margin of error or just simply not working properly based off of the test I was doing. But there is no difference whether you wheelie or you lean forward on the Shotaro, which of course is a big difference from the Hakachu Drag. So let's kind of sum up the performance metrics right here. Is the Shotaro Tron bike the new fastest bike in the game when it comes to racing across a track or a circuit? Yes, but it's only by a fraction of a second. So it isn't this bike that is light years ahead of everything else. There are other bikes in the game that are still competitive, like the Hakachu Drag, like the Bati, the Akuma, even the Vortex that was recently used is still pretty competitive. So it's the fastest bike, but it also comes at that exorbitant, over 2 times as expensive price tag that you guys see. So that's ultimately where you're going to have to make the decision. If you can afford the $2.3 million and you want that little bit of extra difference, that little bit of extra speed advantage that you can have on the track, then yeah, absolutely go for this bike. But if you already have the Hakachu Drag or you already have the Vortex and you don't want to spend the $2.3 million, you're going to be just fine. This bike is a little bit quicker, but in a racing situation where there's so many other subjective variables that go into place here, you're going to do just fine. The motorcycle class is not anywhere unbalanced due to the addition of this bike, which is great. The only thing we really see that's unbalanced is now the price of the Shotaro versus some of the other bikes that we've seen into the game. So now let's kind of get into the final verdict and let's talk about, is the Shotaro Tron bike worth it? So this is going to come down to a lot of different metrics. Probably the biggest metric here is the size of your bank account. Rockstar have priced this bike the way they have for a couple different factors. Number one is its rarity. You're not going to see another bike in the game that has the glowing external lights on there. That's just a fact. And that obviously makes it very rare. Number two, it's extremely clear that this bike is based off of Tron, which is an incredibly popular series, and that's going to attract many people to want to buy this bike. They also are going to experience it in the Deadline Adversary mode, which will maybe entice people to want to spend their money on it a little bit more since it's the feature vehicle of a Grand Theft Auto Online game mode. And number three, technically, it does become the fastest bike in the game. So the price here, you're getting hit with a triple whammy. You're paying for performance, you're paying for uniqueness, and you're paying for rarity. Typically, vehicles in the game will only have one of those three, but the Shotaro is a rare example where it has all three, and that's ultimately where I think Rockstar is justifying their exorbitant price of $2.25 million here for the bike. So to give you guys my final review, if you have the Hakachu Drag or you have the Bati in the Akuma and you only want the Shotaro for performance, save your money. It's not going to be that much of an increase for what you're actually paying for. The other bikes in the game are going to perform just as fine, and you're going to be at a pretty normal competitive edge right there. So if you're buying it just for performance and you have the other bikes in the game, I would definitely skip out. But if you are buying this bike for its coolness, its uniqueness, its rarity, this bike is awesome. It is so cool at night. It is really cool with the outfits that you can apply. The glowing colors are amazing. There's a lot of little secret features that I talked about in my previous video where you can actually make this bike even more cool. So yeah, I think it's awesome. Tron is such a cool series, and the fact that it's been brought into Grand Theft Auto Online is awesome. And I think that if you have the money and you love Tron and you think it's cool, no one should tell you to stop you from spending your money here. But if you're only going at it from a performance aspect, I would almost hold off because it's not worth it, as it's not that much of a performance increase. However, the biggest thing that I'm probably most disappointed in here is the outfits. $200,000 for an outfit. Most of the cars in game aren't over $200,000, so that just blows my mind. I don't know where Rockstar justified the price of that either, especially if you want to buy all of them. $1.6 million. That has to be the biggest buyer beware right there, and it's unfortunate that I have to say that because those outfits are super cool, but what I recommend is if you're getting this Shotaro, pick a color that you know you're going to love and then try to match an outfit to go along with it. Don't spend all your money like I did on all the outfits because that's a lot of money to spend on clothing, especially when we still have 2 vehicles left in the Esky and the Yuga Classic. So that's kind of my buyer beware and performance review of the Shotaro, all the new outfits that have been added into the game, and a whole lot more. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comment section. What do you think of the Shotaro Tron bike? Do you think it's worth it? Do you think it's only worth it if you're getting it for its looks and customization versus its performance? What do you think of the outfits as well? I guarantee you there's going to be a lot of discussion in the chat down below, so I'd love to hear from you guys there. If you did go on to enjoy this video, though, a like rating would, of course, be awesome. And also, subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new or you like daily GTA 5 videos like this. I'll have a live stream coming out later, which we're going to be having a ton of fun with the new Shotaro, so please do stay tuned for that. But of course, with that out of the way, guys, like I said, thanks so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.